So we're gonna start with the easier version. Let's do a button, okay? So basically we take the design of the button that you have right here. We select it, we make sure that it's selected. Of course, you did a great job naming the layer. So it's name button. And here you just click on the right hand side of your mouse, and then you have this list of options of things that you can do. Here we just go and create a component. We call the component button, or if we need to change the name, we change it, and then we create it. When we create it, we have it's like a new canvas. We are doing something different, right? So if you can see it here on the left side, we still have layers, and the main layer is the primary one, the number one variant. We can just call this primary if we want to, or change the name to anything that you want. Maybe the button is orange, so this is orange button, because the name of this variant is what you're gonna see from outside when you are in the actual design. So we just need to make sure that this is set up properly. So width for buttons is perfect, that it fit and not fill, because it depends on how long the text is, right? So the button can be longer or shorter. And then the height fit, perfect. And then when the width is fit, if the text is too long, it's not going to break into two lines. It's going to continue. So you need to be mindful also when you're using buttons that the text that you use is clear and short, so it doesn't break on mobile, for example. Okay, here we have padding. The padding is perfect, and we have the border, so everything is right. Okay. It should be fit. It should be fit, because then this can change. This can be just like contact, and so shorter needs to short down. Okay, so how do we create a hover effect for this button? We select the whole button, and then we have two options here, right? This option is to create a second sort of variant of the button. So this one can be, for example, a dark version of the button, like with the black background or something. But then here on the bottom, if we click here, we have two options. So these are states for this variant. The first state is over, the second stage is pressed. So we're going to select hover. So what happens when we hover over this button? What's going to change? Okay, so we can add, for example, a fill to this button that is the same color as the text, yes. So let's copy here, and we come back to this fill. We paste the color, right? And now everything is the same color. Oh no, we don't want that. So we select the text, and we change the color of the text to something like that you can see, right? So now if I come here to primary and hit this button that says play, I can see how it works. So I can test it out without having to go out to the main design, right? So here we can, I don't know if you remember from Figma, you have Boolean variants or Boolean options. That's when you have several options within your, okay, perfect. So Boolean is when you have sort of different states within one state. Is difficult to explain for me, I don't know. I highly recommend that in your design you choose global styles, because that way, like let's say this is going to be a style called button. It's going to be a paragraph, and we want to change the name to button. That way, if we decide later on that we want to change all the text in all buttons to a bigger size, we can just come here and change it, and it's going to change all around because it's a global style. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's the parent, and they are the children. And so it's like a cascade. Same happens with the breakpoints. So, good. So then ideally we have global styles for the text. So in the future it's going to be easier. We already have a hover effect. So now how do we change this text from the outside of the design, right? From the home page. Because if I leave it right here, if I go back to the home design, I have the button right here, and here I have no options to change the text. And if I double click here, I just go inside. So if I use this button several times, it's gonna always say the same thing, and we don't want that. We want different calls to action. So we select the text, and here we have a little plus sign. That plus means that we can create a variable. Creating a variable will allow us to edit this variable from the outside of the component. So in here, I'm just gonna create a variable called plain text. The text is gonna be title, that's it. So then if I go back home and I click on the button here, now I have an option to change the text. Let's say this text is contact, for example, whatever is fine. Now this is lower cap, so if we want to have it always in caps, basically we just come here to the style that is called button and we change it. There's a million options here for this type of text. We can see that another time, but global styles for text, for example, allowed for different sizes for breakpoints. In this case, the size of the button for every breakpoint is going to be the same, so we're not going to add breakpoints. But let's say we want it all to be caps, so we just transform to uppercase, and then that means that it doesn't matter how I input the text, it's always going to be uppercase. Okay, now buttons need links, right? We want them to take us somewhere else. So here, if we select the primary button, we have the option to add a link, but we don't want the same link on every single button. It's the same situation as with the text that it was, vale, as with the text that we had down there. So here we select the little plus, create variable, and it's a link. And then here you can decide if you wanted to open in a new tab, ideally no, so people can still navigate through the website, and if you want to scroll to be smooth or instant or whatever it is. So from the outside, now you have the option to add a link. You can add a link within the website or you can add a link outside of the website. If you don't have any links here, if this is empty, then it's not going to lead anywhere. Even though it has a hover state and when you have the mouse over it, it looks brown, you're not going to go anywhere because you don't have a link. So it's important that you set the variable for at least the text and the link for the button. So now if you want to add that button here, for example, because here is still just a box with some text. It's not a button. So you want to add that button, you come here to assets, and then if you have too many, you can just look for the name of that asset. In this case, it's a component called button. You just drag it out, and it turns out it's there. But we want this text, so we copy this text, select the button, and now I just paste this text there, and now it is a button. And I just delete this one because we don't need it. And then here in layers, you're gonna see that it's just button and button all over. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Let's see what else. Let's do